Yeah, check 1 2, check 1 2. Is this mic on? Is this mic on? Hey, listen, man, it's the one and only trendsetter DJ Sense, and you're listening to CockTales, dirty discussions with Kiki and Medinah Monroe. Yeah.
Today's cocktail is actually a mocktail, and we are serving up a mocktail today with a message, and we want to celebrate hope, health, and spread a little bit of HIV and AIDS awareness today in honor of our guest. So this cocktail is the rose-colored lemonade. Funny enough, my mom got me a cookbook with a ton of Golden Girls recipes, and this is one of them, but I had to remix it. I'll put the original recipe in the description box, but this is how we're gonna make my version of the rose-colored lemonade. So what you're going to need is some maraschino cherries. You're gonna need some simple syrup. If you can make your own, that's always best, but if not, no worries. You can get a good quality brand like this. Some grenadine, some freshly squeezed lemon juice, and I did freshly squeeze it this time. And then you'll need either still water, club soda, or sparkling water. And then if you want to turn your mocktail into a cocktail, you can add in some sparkling wine or even a little vodka if you're feeling frisky. So what we're going to do is take our glass and we're going to fill it up with ice. And then we're going to take this shaker. If you wanted to make a big batch, you could, but I'm not doing that today. So we're going to take the simple syrup. And so we're gonna pour this in our little shaker that we're gonna use as a mixer. And you're gonna need a cup of it. Pour. I'm eyeballing. Cup of simple syrup. And then we're going to add in some maraschino cherries to that. And a little of the cherry juice. And some grenadine. You'll do about a quarter cup of the grenadine. Then we're gonna take about a cup of the freshly squeezed lemon juice. Don't be afraid that this is too sweet. Remember, you're adding in your water or sparkling water to it. And this is for a big batch. So we've got 2 guests, so we wanna make sure we have enough. Now I'm going to take my stir. You could shake it or stir. I'm a stir today. Now, we'll take this mixture. It's nice and rosy. We're gonna pour this in our glass with the ice already in it. And then we'll top it off with some sparkling water. This is a strawberry hibiscus flavored one to stay with the rose-colored theme. And then we're gonna garnish it with one of the maraschino cherries. Or a few, so you can snack on them, like we like to do. Just go ahead and throw 3 of them in there. And that, my friends, is a rose-colored lemonade. Cheers! And welcome back to CockTales Dirty Discussions, you guys. I am Kiki Said So.
And I'm Medinah Monroe. Hey, y'all.
So this week, before we get started, I do want to remind you guys to make sure, as always, you check the links and everything in the description box. We have a great episode ahead today with some wonderful ladies from AIDS Atlanta. And so this episode will be a little different, but we want to make sure that we get the information out there to you guys because it's important. And sex is fun and games until it's not. So just so y'all know.
This week from AIDS Atlanta, we have our girls, Marcella and Paola. How are you ladies doing?
Good, thank you.
Thank you guys for coming. And Marcella, you are the volunteer group outreach coordinator.
Yes.
Paola, you are the social media and grants manager.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can y'all tell us a little bit what made you want to get involved with AIDS Atlanta? We'll start with you, Marcella.
Honestly, I've been doing this work for like over 30 years. And so I moved here 2 years ago and I got a new husband.
Congratulations.
And I decided to get back into the field. And I went to AIDS. It was very organic for me.
Mm-hmm.
And being in the field, it was sweet that I got this position initially working with women that were living and thriving with HIV. The program was called Sisters with a Voice. And so I worked with women that were 18 all the way up to 80.
Mm-hmm.
That had an HIV diagnosis. And so it was a real sweet fit for me.
30 years in the business, so you've seen a lot.
A lot of stories.
Yes, I have. I've seen growth. So where we are today from where we started, initially I did testing and counseling. And when I did testing and counseling, I gave more positive AIDS test results and not HIV. And they normally didn't live much longer. So it was real hard going to 4, 5, 6, 7 funerals a week, if not more. And then, it changed where the medication has changed. People are living and thriving. With women, it is a great thing now. We can be living with HIV and have a baby and have a HIV negative baby,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over the course of those 30 years, it's good to see that science has evolved and we're learning more to be able to do better.
Yes.
Paola, what drew you to want to work in this community?
Well, I stumbled upon this job like after college when I was applying to a bunch of them. And then I remember when they called me, I was just thinking about my biology class in college that I did in HIV focus class. So when they called me, I was like, you know what? That's like full circle moment right now. Like maybe I should go into this field because I've always wanted to help people do things. And I feel like writing grants helps me give people the resources to do the good work, like Marcella here, like with the Sisters with the Voice program. So that's how I stumbled on here.
You ladies are doing the work. Like you need programs like this to educate people.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because there's still people out there who are either getting misinformation or just not being educated on it. So before we ask you more questions, because we have so many, we're going to move on to weird sex.
You said a man is not a necessity, a man is a luxury.
Like dessert. Yeah. A man is absolutely not a necessity.
Did you mean that to sound mean and bitter?
Oh, not at all. I adore dessert. I love men. I think men are the coolest. But you don't really need them to live.
So you guys, this week's Weird Sex is going to be a bit different. I just wanted to go through a few things that are some facts about HIV and AIDS, because while you or someone you know might already know these things, it doesn't help to continue to share because everybody doesn't know everything, right? So just a reminder, HIV is not the same as AIDS. So like when Marcella was telling us earlier about all of the diagnoses that you were giving of positive AIDS and they did not live much longer, that's because HIV is the virus and you really want to get tested so that you know that you have it so that you can get treated before it develops into AIDS. And now that we have more information, more medication, and just time has helped us with this, it's much more likely that you can live a full life, a long life. Let's see what else. The tests are reliable. I don't know who's thinking that they're not, but they are reliable. HIV cannot be cured. So even though people might joke about like Magic Johnson and other people who have had it for a long time and all of that, you have to remember that you can get your levels down to undetectable levels, but that does not mean that you've been cured. There's no vaccine, but when you do hear about medications like PrEP or PEP, that is something different. It's not a vaccine, and we'll get into what exactly that is later with these ladies. And then y'all go ahead and wrap it up and make sure that you are asking if people have been tested. You don't just get it from men. Women can pass it along to each other. There's other ways besides sex. So whatever y'all are out there doing, please be responsible and just keep it in mind. And fortunately, there's so many great organizations, no matter where you are, that will offer free testing. Even if you don't have like insurance or anything, there's plenty of places that are doing free testing. There's rapid testing, and please get tested. Don't leave your life in the hands of somebody else being responsible. Be responsible for yourself. And that's it for Weird Sex. Before we jump back into this very, very, very important conversation, we want to take a moment and give you a word from our sponsor. This episode has really got us thinking, and when it comes to our health and our hustle, it's important to find ways to support ourselves that don't compromise our health, our safety, especially when we're exploring things like intimacy, pleasure, or kink. And in a world where everything feels more and more expensive by the day, finding ways to tap into your sensuality and your creativity to earn some extra income, that can be a game changer. That's why we're excited to partner with Pantydeal, the largest online adult marketplace where you can sell worn items like panties, socks, and lingerie, plus offer exclusive content like photos, videos, and personalized experiences. It's a totally online platform that allows you to remain anonymous if you choose, and you keep 100% of what you earn. No commissions taken, no pressure to show your face, just a safe, respectful, sex-positive space where people can explore their kinks and connect all online. And honestly, it can be really empowering. You get to be in control, you set your own boundaries, and you can do it all from the comfort of your home. Signing up is easy and free. And if you want to really boost your sales, you can upgrade to a premium membership for unlimited chats, a more detailed profile, and more listings. And right now, Pantydeal is offering our listeners an exclusive 50% off the premium membership. Just visit pantydeal.com/cocktails or use the code CockTales to claim your discount. That's Pantydeal, PANTYDEAL. Signing up is free, and with code CockTales, CockTales, you'll get 50% off the premium membership. So head to pantydeal.com/cocktails, a safe space to explore your sensuality, make some extra money, and embrace your power, all without compromising your health or your peace. The link is in the description. And now we'll get back to the show.
So I think a great way to start the conversation, I didn't plan on it, but when you just said there's several ways to contract HIV or AIDS, I'm sitting here like, let's tell the people all the ways you can get them if it's not just sex. Could you guys give us some information on that?
So the priority, not priority, but top of the line is sex. First, heterosexual sex. And then if you're having same sex, more with men. So if two men are having sex, they can contract HIV. It is very minimal now, the numbers of individuals that will get that will test positive from blood. So if they get a blood transfusion, you're no longer going to get HIV. That blood is screened. Again, and being an injecting drug user. So if you're an injecting drug user and you're sharing your needles, then you absolutely have the potential to either contract HIV or give it to someone else. Babies are no longer getting HIV when the mom is pregnant and when they deliver, as long as the mother is taking her medication, her viral load is undetectable, and she's following everything that the doctor needs her to do. She listens to the doctor, does what she needs to do. She will have a baby and be able to have a HIV negative baby.
What exactly does PrEP do? Would that be the...
Two different things. No, two different
Okay,
things.
educate me.
So the first part is that I'm a woman that's pregnant and I'm HIV positive, but my partner is HIV negative. And so we're having unprotected sex because my viral load is low, it's undetectable, and he is on PrEP. So as long as you take PrEP, it's a prophylactic pill that you would take on a daily basis, like a birth control pill.
I was just about to say that one of my guy friends is on it, and he calls it his birth control. We both know what it is, obviously. But you could think about it that way.
Yes.
So
a barrier
PrEP if you are interacting with someone else who is already positive and you are not.
Yes.
Or also if you
Or you
don't
might
even
want
know
to.
they're like if you're dating and you're doing your thing, you don't have to know if they have HIV. Like you can take this pill and then you're like protected.
Yes.
You are 100% protected.
Not 100%. Nothing is
Okay.
100% unless you're abstaining from sex.
Right.
Yeah.
However, the numbers are great. It's almost 92%.
Okay.
Don't quote me, but the numbers are greater than less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great barrier.
Yeah.
Is it expensive?
So where we are So where we are today with AIDS Atlanta, if you decide to take PrEP, regardless on the ability to pay, you can get PrEP for free with Aid Atlanta.
That is really good.
Yeah.
That is really good. I was also going to ask, does health insurance cover PrEP?
Health insurance does cover PrEP.
It depends on your insurance,
Mm-hmm.
though, right?
No, well,
Because I know some people whose it's covered,
Yeah.
and then I know other people who get it from organizations like yours, and I just assume maybe their insurance doesn't cover enough, but I don't know.
And it's okay if you don't know. We can just.
It's political right now, but as of right now, Aid Atlanta, if you come in and you want to get on PrEP and you test HIV negative, we don't ask you about payment, and you can get on PrEP.
Oh, so there's no steps to. You can just go to Aid Atlanta and be like, "Can I get on PrEP?"
Once you test negative for HIV, then we will offer you PrEP. Once that happens, you'll come back every 90 days to get tested for any STIs and to be tested again for HIV. So there's a process. You get on it, but every 90 days you need to come back so you can get more PrEP.
And then are all of those tests, besides just the HIV, the STI test, are those free as well?
Yes, those are completely free.
See? Y'all need to be heading down to Aid
Yeah.
Atlanta or find other organizations that are close to wherever you live.
Yes.
Because it's available.
Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 5:30.
And you can just walk in?
Yes.
No appointment.
Yep. No appointment is needed.
See how
Do you
easy?
do people take advantage of that a lot? Like, do people come in and like utilize the resources, or would you say?
So we test over 150 people a day.
There's a
Oh,
lot
wow.
of people.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good to know that the doors are revolving.
Yeah,
and
no,
people are
absolutely.
coming in.
And they're
open.
coming, yeah. But our numbers are still high, so we still have work to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When people come in to get tested, are they nervous? I've been to Aid Atlanta to get tested, and I was crying before I even got the test. I was just scared. I was just scared. Are people in there emotional? Are people in there like?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Even 30 years later, with it being a rapid test, so you'll know in 15 minutes if you test positive for HIV, people are absolutely nervous. It's still fearful. And it's still, it's scary. It's absolutely scary. Even with all of the new medications and how we follow the science, it's still scary.
It's very scary.
And let's say you do get a positive result. We usually you will be assigned a case manager, someone that will help you take those next steps to keep you in care.
And so what are the next steps? So you go in, you get your test, you find out it's positive. Then what happens?
So we do so once you test positive, the counselor then, depending on your psychosocial issues that day, will look to get you in care within the next 48 to 72 hours.
You said depending on your what social issue?
Your psychosocial issues. So depending on how you respond to this positive test result is how we move forward. So it's not a cookie cutter recipe in how we deal with someone that may test positive. And so we would, see how you respond. We would bring a counselor in, and then the person that tested you would do an assessment and see which way to go. But we absolutely are going to get all of your information and make sure, to the best of our ability, to be able to get you in care sooner rather than later.
And then whenever y'all are doing these talks and moving towards getting this positive person to care, is there a conversation about who else you've been having sex with, and how does it go with telling them that they need to let other people know that they have now tested, because you don't get it out of thin air, tested positive? How does that part go?
So there is a part where you, because it is a communicable disease, we have to report it to DPH. And then DPH is supposed to follow your steps, your sex track on who you've had sex with.
So they are going to make the call.
Yes. Well, they're supposed to make the call. Back in the day, that's what we did, DPH. So I would have to report that Jennifer tested positive, Jennifer Jones tested positive. Call DPH. DPH will call Jennifer and ask Jennifer who her partners were, and then they would inform all of Jennifer's partners anonymously that they need to be tested for HIV. So being here in Georgia for the last 2 years, I don't do testing anymore, but it's very, I want to say it's very similar to that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they don't say, when they were doing the calls more frequently, they don't say like, hey, they don't tell you who
No, they
you were involved
can't.
with. They just say you need
So
to
think about COVID. And so when you did COVID tracing and I tested positive for COVID, who were you with in the last 72 hours, in the last week? When did your symptoms start? And then we'd get those names and then we would call and say, you've been exposed, but we could never say that Paola exposed you. So the confidentiality, that HIPAA law was hard, good in place.
I've even gotten text messages about COVID.
Yeah. Yep.
Very convenient.
Yes. Yes.
Because I do screen my calls. So yeah, I know that they are
Yes.
sending text too to let people know because whew, could you imagine?
Could you imagine? Oh, could you guys talk a little bit about how, if HIV does go untreated, how it turns into AIDS?
You want me to? You want to?
Well, I'm not. I just know that it turns into AIDS, and then like from what I know and like from the stuff that I've read, you start to get you just get really sick. Kind of, does it give you more like a flu-like symptoms and stuff, and then it gets progressively worse?
Yes. So what we wanted, absolutely. And what we want to do is we want to listen to our body because our body speaks to us, specifically women. So some of the symptoms that can happen with women is that we get chronic yeast infections. We get thrush in our mouth. We get very tired. We're very tired, flu-like symptoms. And so we want to pay attention to that. And once you get tested, if you wait and you're losing weight and you get pneumonia, they're called opportunistic infections. You get those things and then you test. You could test positive as an AIDS diagnosis. So we really want to listen to our bodies. And so yeast infections aren't normal. And if you're getting a yeast infection every month, we need to pay attention to that. We're not getting well from the flu or from the cold. We want to pay attention to that.
Because basically HIV is attacking your immune system,
Yes,
killing
and
those
breaking
white
it
blood
down.
cells. That's
Yes.
why you get sick.
Yes.
And then leaving it untreated.
Yes,
It
absolutely.
just turns into
Yes.
Snowballs.
Yes. So we just want to be real mindful, of when our body talks to us.
Now, currently, and if you guys don't know the exact number, that's fine. But I know that there have been things that I've read where it'll say like there's this period where you could have it, you could have contracted it, but you'll get your test and it's negative because whatever the levels are that it's testing for is not there yet. What's that time period?
So it's not like it used to be.
Okay.
And if you've had an exposure, today and you come in, what's today, Wednesday? Next Wednesday, 7 days. Those tests are really good. Those rapid tests are really good to where they can detect the antibody of HIV. And when we're doing testing, we're going to ask you when your last exposure was. And so you come back in 7 days, but you are telling me that I believe that I have HIV, but you test negative. We're going to have you come back in 30 days.
Retest.
But not only just come back in 30 days, we're going to tell you that you need to, anything that you do, you need to do it safely. Because if you leave out of the office on that Wednesday and you tested negative, and then you go out and have sex, it's just, you're going to continue to have to keep testing. So, but it used to be you have to come back every 90 days if you tested negative, but you had this exposure. And even if you had symptoms, but you're not reacting yet. So it's a much better process now.
That was the time period I was thinking of, 90 days. I couldn't remember. That was, I'm old, obviously. But it's good to know that you can find out much sooner.
Yes.
Much sooner. 90 days is a lot
It
worse
was.
than a week.
It was. And then you had to wait 2 weeks
Yeah.
when the test first came out.
To get your results?
Girl, it was bad. You know?
I remember when I was watching an episode of Being Mary Jane, and
I love that show.
I love that show.
Do y'all remember the episode where I think she was dating the doctor. It was when she was dating the doctor who was the white guy, and she had an at-home test.
No, I don't remember that one.
You don't remember? She made him. He was like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah, you have to." Do you remember that episode?
don't remember
This was one
that.
of the
I don't
later
remember dating
the
him.
later seasons. I don't remember which season, but it was towards the end.
When she was dating Michael Ealy?
No, this was the white guy. Remember, he was like a Remember, she met him at the sex club. Y'all,
I don't remember that episode.
She started dating. I think he was a doctor, but he was a white guy. He was the only white guy that she dated. Anyway, she had an at-home test, and she made him swab. Are at-home tests accurate?
They are, but you want to always, with any test, is to get confirmation.
Yeah.
Go to a professional.
You don't want to be.
It may not be romantic in the moment, but like
either.
you still gotta go get it tested.
Yeah.
And if you suspect that you may have been exposed to it, there's always PEP. So like PEP, you have a small window at 72 hours that you can come and get that medication.
So that one's like a morning after kind of.
Come on
type
now.
of
Yeah,
deal.
exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
Like a plan B.
Yes. Yep.
And it works.
It does work.
Now remember, nothing is 100%.
Right.
But
it does minimize you testing positive for HIV.
Okay, now I have a question. Back up really quick. You spoke about this in Weird Sex, and Marcella, you had brought it up again, how you can become undetectable. What exactly does that mean, and why does it matter? And I say that because, okay, you're undetectable. Does undetectable mean you cannot pass it along anymore, but you still have the virus?
Yes. So, okay. Undetectable, if I am HIV positive and I take my medication the way I need to take it, the way me and my doctor have come up with this plan, when I go for my checkups and they take my blood work, the medication is so powerful now. The science is so amazing that it reduces the amount of HIV that is in your body. So if you're undetectable when you're having sex with someone else, they won't get HIV.
But let me ask you this. Do you think that if someone is undetectable and they are having sex with people who aren't positive, should you still let someone know that you
are living with HIV?
Yeah.
I say yes, you should tell me. Because I have a follow-up question to that.
Like, would that be an illegal? You know how? Because if you're just out and you know you have AIDS, you've been tested, y'all have a record of it, and someone is like, you knew you had AIDS and you're still sleeping with
or
people.
HIV,
That's
doesn't matter.
Like you could go to jail for that.
So
correct?
here in Georgia, you can. Yeah, here in Georgia, you can. It's a thin
really
line. It's a thin line. As an individual, I want you to tell me, but I'm also going to ask you. So then that comes that power of taking care of my temple. And so if you don't tell me and you're really undetectable, then it was my fault if I didn't find out that you were positive before I decided to let you touch me.
Now I have another question about the undetectable thing. So I appreciate that you're emphasizing how you've got to follow the doctor's orders. You've got to take the medicine and do everything. But is it safe to say that it's very much like birth control, where if you're not taking it exactly as prescribed, it's going to with birth control, you don't take it at the exact same time every single day, don't miss a dose, then you're like, 98% unlikely to get pregnant. Is it the same with the HIV medication, where as long as you're taking it exactly as prescribed, you're good, but when you miss doses, when you're not taking your medication, that viral load could go up. You might get back to a detectable level and you could still pass it on to someone.
Absolutely. And so that's with anything. So I take a high blood pressure medication and my pressure is really good. And then I decide I don't want to take it. I mean, I guess that's because it's not communicable. But the bottom line is that that HIV medication that you're taking, you could still develop a resistance to it. So that's why it's real important to have this amazing relationship with your doctor and to always tell the truth. Because we have people that are undetectable, but they're still getting high, or they get high, or they abuse alcohol. They're just not taking care of themselves. So there's a number of factors that can come into place where the medication is not working as effective as it could if you were taking care of your temple.
All the more reason to make sure you get your PrEP.
That
Because
part.
are you ever going to be able to watch somebody every second of the day? And if you are, well, when are y'all going to even have sex?
Well, see, within that makes me have questions about PrEP. If you are not taking care of your temple and you're taking PrEP, is it going to be 100%?
Nothing is.
I mean, not 100%, but is it still going to have a high success rate? If you are drinking a lot, if you are getting high, like,
Right.
does it still is it still effective?
So I can't answer that one. PrEP is new on the newer side, and that's not my ministry.
Okay.
We'll have to do some Googles and find
Yeah.
out.
Because you know how even sometimes with the Plan B, if you are, I didn't know this for a long time, if you are over a certain weight, it won't work.
Oh, I saw a TikTok that recently shared something like that, and I
And the
didn't
weight
know
ain't
that either.
high.
Yeah, the weight's not high. And so while it typically, normally works, not saying that I know. But when I read that, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
there's a lot of things like that. Even like birth control, like smoking and other things that have taken antibiotics while you're on your birth control.
Yes.
I got a sister like that because
I
her
got a
mom was
grandbaby
taking
like that.
antibiotics.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens. And so I think that it's so great that there's PEP and PrEP out there so that whether you have it or not, there's medication for everybody to help bring it down. And I also appreciate that there's less is still there, but less stigma surrounding it. People are more likely. I see commercials all the time.
I've been seeing them a lot on Hulu. A bunch of PrEP
And
commercials.
And Bravo.
And it's showing us now because it wasn't showing us. It was all just
Black and
white,
brown women.
yeah, white gay men. And so kudos
Yeah.
to Vive and to some of the other pharmaceutical companies. So
Yeah, and if Google gets like too much, because there's so much information out there about PrEP and like all those testings, you can also go to the Georgia HIV STI Info Line, which we house at 8 Atlanta. It's an anonymous info line that you can ask any questions. Or if we don't have a specific resource for you, they will send you to another place.
Do you get to speak to a live person?
Yes.
no AI.
No AI.
Yep, no AI.
Yeah.
Undetectable equals untransmittable.
That's what it is. Okay.
Okay.
It came to you.
Yeah.
We'll cut that whole other part out.
Yeah, undetectable. Yeah. Yeah.
So before we started recording, you were talking about women, Black and brown women specifically, and HIV/AIDS, and how there was a stand almost for women to take their power back and showing people ways how you can live a healthy lifestyle. You're still a human being. Can we talk about some of those ways that if you are living with HIV/AIDS as a woman, different things that people can do to still feel like they have a reason for life, a purpose? Because you do, but I can only imagine, like you said, it's devastating to get that news.
Well, I feel, oops, my gosh, I just hit the mic. I feel like, especially at 8 Atlanta, we focus on like a well-rounded service. So when you get tested, we also have supportive services like the Sisters with a Voice program that helps women come together. They're at the same table, as Marcella always says, that everyone that comes from different walks of life, these women have college degrees and everything, and that happens to them. It can happen to anybody. So having a supportive service like that one helps them navigate through receiving a positive diagnosis.
But what does that navigation look like? Like, what is actually happening? Are there mental health services? I would imagine you might need that. Like, what does it look like?
So specifically at 8 Atlanta with the Sisters with a Voice program, we do something now that's called status neutral. So we have everybody sit at the table together. And that means I'm HIV positive, but my sister over here had some domestic violence issues, and I did too. And so the support becomes different, and we are more alike than not alike. And so we gather women together. And yes, we do have the mental health component. But we also, what we're focusing on now is back in the day when we was at the kitchen table with Auntie and Big Mama, and we're doing those type of conversations. We're doing cookout conversations. And what happens in those conversations, specifically in our community, is that Big Mama said, girl, what's going on with you right there? And so we're doing some intergenerational conversations, and the younger women are open to that. So the mental health piece is coming organically. And then the safety is coming organically because it's Big Mama with a college student, and she's keeping it real with them. And so what we found in studies is that if we do storytelling, folks are listening because it's real. You know, their stories are real. So the mental health component is there. The case management services are there. Emergency services are there. So we have emergency services money available. Not a lot, but we do have money
Because
available.
it's all privately funded.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the members' emergency assistance fund, because everything can affect a person whether they take their medication. If they don't have money for rent, they don't have money for food, transportation, they can't get to their medical appointments. That's all factors that will get in the way of someone taking their medication. So we have that program that helps them go to their medical appointments, helps pay for their rents, utilities, their mortgage. We just try to remove different barriers that will keep somebody from not taking their medication.
Is this like a weekly gathering?
So specifically with Sisters with a Voice, we met on a either biweekly or a monthly basis, depending on what was going on in the community, depending on what we were celebrating. So it really depends. But not only Sisters with a Voice, there are a number of AIDS service organizations that have women groups. And so they are out there either via online or in person. And so it's a nice community. Well, it's getting better. And it's getting better because we're realizing that we're more alike than not alike. And so, like, you don't know if I'm HIV positive.
You don't know if anybody is.
No, exactly. And that's where we're trying to get to. And so, you know how when you go to the doctors like Kaiser, it's one-stop shopping? That's what we do at Aid Atlanta.
How convenient.
Yeah.
I love not having to go to many places.
Yeah.
Go to the
No.
foot doctor,
Especially
the
with this
heart doctor,
traffic.
the vagina doctor. All in
Yeah.
one
No,
place.
listen, all in one place. Absolutely. And so at Aid Atlanta, you can do that. You can get your medication. You can get your mental health. You can get your physical done. You'll get your testing done. You'll get your treatment. You know, you'll get everything. And then you get loved on.
And that is so important. I was going to say, like, the importance and the power in community, no matter what you're going through. If you just got diagnosed with cancer, if you lost a child, like, there's so many different support groups for different things. And people don't realize, like, there really is power in numbers, even in just the energy of, like, uplifting you. Sometimes when you get sad, even if it's on a small scale of not a disease, and you sit by yourself or you're alone for a really long time, that doesn't really help you. That almost makes it worse. So to know that you guys are providing these support groups for women, and I'm sure men, that's incredible.
We do.
Yes.
The Men's Engagement Network is another one that we have.
Do you find that y'all get more participation in the community groups with the women or the men?
I have only been on the female side.
Okay.
So I've only seen the Sisters with the Voice do like the great work that Marcella was doing, a lot of innovative work there. That's where I have my most experience with.
And I ask because I know a lot of times men may not be so forthcoming about their emotions and needing help or wanting help or being vulnerable. So I'm just curious about that, how it works with them.
So specifically at Aid Atlanta, we have this amazing therapist that is open, and she does a group once a month. And we get a ton of men in to do that whole mental health component. So that's one. But our men's health engagement, our men's network, they're still doing street outreach. They do events, they do community events.
Food pantries.
Yeah. They have created this amazing partnership with Power ATL, and they do the food pantry every Thursday. So we're meeting people where they are and realizing after doing community needs assessments that, food brings people together. Oh, you don't have no food? Well, come over here and get some food. Not just some food, but you're going to get some good food. And so it's working specifically in our community because, whatever happened in our house, stay in our house and don't you talk about it. But folks now are specifically at 8 Atlanta. That's our hub. Folk are coming in there and they're getting the love, they're getting the resources, and then they're growing. We have a young lady, she just turned 40. She's got a year and 3 months clean off alcohol. She needed a hip replacement, got the hip replacement, needed a place to live. So she's living with her man. So she wanted to become independent. She created an LLC.
Come on, sis.
And she's doing the thing. And so there are some super stories that come out of having a positive diagnosis with HIV. Yeah.
What would y'all say are still some myths, misconceptions that you find still being perpetuated, whether it be online or just in conversations or when people are coming in, that you think is really important to let people know that's not true or that's not a fact that, or it fits into this bigger umbrella?
Well, I think the first big one was the one that you started the episode with, which is like the difference between HIV and AIDS. I think that's the biggest one that I've seen. I think HIV and AIDS, that's not a gay disease. Like anybody can get it. So that's another misconception that I've seen.
Absolutely. And just because I choose to be a sex worker does not mean that I'm going to get HIV. And so like Paola said that it doesn't discriminate, truly doesn't discriminate. The girls from Spelman get HIV. The boys from Morehouse get HIV. Everybody.
And Georgia Tech, let's go ahead.
I was just
No,
going to say Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
University of Georgia, everywhere.
Yeah. And that's just real talk to where we just have to keep it 100. And though folks say, times have changed, but times really haven't changed. We're just moving a little faster because everybody's still having sex. They was having sex 45 years ago. They was having sex 100 years ago. So they're not going to stop. So what we do is that we have to be honest. We have to slow down. And slowing down means that we put our phones down and we talk to our kid or we talk to that young person and just have that conversation. Sit at the table and have dinner together and to talk about these things. I think that, and I'm going to age myself, that it's important to be able to sit at the table and have conversation. And sometimes we, as matured, seasoned adults, it is important for us to tell our story to our baby girls and our baby boys. And so then they have that knowledge, like, oh, I don't need to do that. But we have to be honest about it because butter melt in our mouths the same way it does theirs. And I did the same thing you did. But so now I need to share it with you. So we got to be honest.
Me too. I think speaking of being honest, with episodes like this, whether you hear it on CockTales or another show and you hear people talking about sexual health, I think it's so important. And I'm even talking to myself when you're dating someone or thinking about having sex with them, how often are you actually like, even if you have the conversation, like, hey, when's the last time you got tested? Sometimes that's as deep as the conversation goes. You don't know if somebody's lying. You don't, and maybe they're not even lying. Maybe they just also had sex with someone the day before and didn't get tested. How often do you actually compare or go to 8 Atlanta together and we get tested? That doesn't happen that often. And so I think that it's important because then you are, like you said, I am taking my power and making sure that I'm taking care of myself. So if something does come back positive, okay, we can talk about it and decide how we're going to deal with it from there. But if you're just going through all of these sexual partners with not ever having an in-depth conversation about your sexual health, you're putting yourself at risk. So I think I hope that y'all maybe try it today.
No, absolutely.
I also had another question that I just thought about when you were talking about sitting at the kitchen table and being able to have these conversations. Teenagers are having sex and even younger. When these younger people under 18 are like, I know I've had sex, or I know I've done whatever they've done. God forbid you're using drugs, but I know that they do. They come to 8 Atlanta and they want to get tested. Can they get tested even though they're not an adult? How does that work?
That one, I'm not sure.
You can.
We can't. They
Because I
can
don't have
get-
to give an ID.
We're not. Yeah, they're supposed to give an ID, but we're not going to not test them. That is like private, quiet, but not quiet. We're going to test. We have to. But we also have a mobile testing unit.
I've seen them.
Yeah. And so with the mobile testing unit, we've been strategic in placing the van where there's a high incidence of STIs. And we're giving them that information. If they want to be tested, we're going to test them. It's not.
Because that's another thing I was just thinking about. Like, if you have to have a real doctor's appointment or something because you are under 18, then I know that people get scared to tell their parents, and they might be getting tested, not even thinking about HIV, thinking about getting pregnant or thinking about another STI.
Yes.
And it could be that. And I just know, like, being a teenager, how things go.
So there was some supportive services. They're specifically lost and found, and they do outreach with young people, and they have some really good programs set up for our young people, and so it does happen. It does happen.
Yeah. And those mobile testing units, they're powered by AHF, which is the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. They have those around. They also have a couple of thrift stores that also have testing inside those thrift stores.
One of them is in Little Five Points, right?
It's called, I'm not sure if it's there, but it's called Out
Out of the Closet.
Out of the Closet.
So it's, well, this one is in Midtown.
Okay.
But there
I
could
know where
be
Out of the
some.
Closet
Is
Yeah.
it near the Botanical Gardens?
The Out of the Closet that I've seen, it's on not
Pe-
right, Cheshire Bridge.
No, that's further. So this is right in Midtown. It is on, I think it's Peachtree. Is it Peachtree?
So is it just like a little room that you go in the
No,
store?
girl, it's a whole store. It's a whole pharmacy. It is, they're actually, I think, putting a mental health component in there and some other things. So you go shopping, and then while you're shopping, you can go get your test for HIV.
Because you know
Get your
what? That's a
medication.
good idea too. Because I know people get nervous to walk into certain buildings because
Yeah.
they feel like everybody's staring at them.
Yeah.
So from the outside, it looks like a thrift shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
And it's a bomb.
They have
thrift-
a great selection in there.
Listen, I got a pair of $600 boots for my husband for $10.
Oh.
From not Nordstrom Rack, from Nordstrom. I don't remember the name of the designer, but I was like, "Boo, you like these?"
What a steal.
No, yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
look at that.
yeah, Out of the Closet, and we have them in California, Florida. We have them all up the southwest, southeast coast.
I'll make sure that I put some links to some different resources.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they have them listed on the 8 Atlanta website. So that, I don't know why I said that funny website. So that you guys can check out any of those things. And then what about people who are looking to volunteer their time and help?
We always need those.
I would love to volunteer. I think it's so important. This kind of stuff. This is something that resonates with me. And just knowing that people still don't know, or the stigma that still surrounds it. I'd love to know, and for y'all to share, like how people can find out about opportunities, whether they're one-offs or something more long-term.
So we have both.
Okay.
We have both. We have some activations that are coming up sooner rather than later. We have the golf tournament. We have,
Do you know when it is?
It's like
We can-
springtime.
it's
Yeah.
May. Is
A
it
lot
gonna
of
be-
these are like spring, summertime. We
Yeah.
have Atlanta Pride. We have Pride Run. We have so many events
the
coming
AIDS
up.
Walk.
AIDS Walk.
And then we do fundraisers at Lips. So we do the drag shows, and those are amazing.
Those are my favorite events. That
Yeah,
we
yeah. Those ladies are so talented. So what we can do is you can either go to our website, aidatlanta.org/volunteer, and I can give you my card and information, and you can call me, let me know what type of volunteer work you want to do, and I absolutely will call you because I would be your key person.
Okay.
Yay. Thank you so
pediatric
much.
events.
yes.
We got so many events. What is it?
Yeah,
The holiday
oh,
party.
Yeah, we have a pediatric party, and so it's specifically for the little people that whose parents, grandparents, caregivers are living with HIV. So we help them with gifts, and then we give them this really nice party.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it is. It's like a little family reunion. We do a backpack event in the West End, and there's like 400 young people that come in, and we give out backpacks, we give out food, we have live music. It's nice.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that Aid Atlanta is out in the community.
Yeah,
doing
we
what needs
are.
to be done.
Yeah, we in them streets, girl.
Be out there.
Hey.
Please, stay out there. I never wanted somebody in the street so bad.
Yeah.
Y'all, we are going to take a break and move on to Indecisive Diane. And when we come back, these ladies are going to help us give you some advice.
Would you stop thinking about what everyone wants? Stop thinking about what I want, what he wants, what your parents want. What do you want? What do you want?
It's not that simple.
What do you want? What do you want?
Hey ladies, it's me, Diane, and this week's date idea is for you and your girls. This is what I want you to do. I saw this on Instagram and I thought it was just the cutest idea. Go to Trader Joe's. They always have flowers on sale, loose stem flowers. Grab a bunch, grab a variety. Get your girls together, like 2 or 5, and have a bouquet making class. Have some cocktails, have some champagne, and make your own flower bouquet. Bye.
Okay, you guys, and we are back from Indecisive Diane, and it's time for advice. And staying on the theme, I just wanted you guys to share some more resources. I know we've said your website. Reiterate where people can go to get tested or find out more information, whether it's your website or others, and any preventative measures outside of wrapping it up and abstinence to prevent your chances of contracting HIV.
So if you go to our website, aidatlanta.org/testing, you'll get all the information about what times we are open and what times you can come get tested. What tests we offer for the STIs is also on there. If Aid Atlanta, the Midtown location, is too far for you, you can also call that info line that I mentioned. Their phone number is 800-551-2728. Totally anonymous. Someone will always answer your call. When I tell you those guys work hard, they never leave the table. If you let them know what's going on, they will tell you what other resources are closer to you that you can go to.
Yes.
And then anything to say about any extra stuff? So I know we talked about PrEP and PEP. Is there anything else that we might have missed today that's out there to help?
We're sex positive, right? And so the reality of it is that we meet people where they are. And so there's no judgment. The bottom line is that we want you to be aware of the choices and decisions you're making. And we can help you navigate. You know, we have some amazing people that we work with. And there is no, again, and it's important to talk about no judgment because we sex positive. We got some stuff that be going on up in there with our t-shirts and you know, we have condoms all over the place. And so if you need to talk, you can call the helpline or you can come in and someone will be willing to speak with you. So you just got to ask
They can also DM us on Instagram and Facebook. And if I can't find somewhere to help them, I will direct them towards somebody that will give them that help.
And that's helpful too, because I know a lot of people do not like picking up the phone.
That's me
Yes.
too. That's
Yeah.
me too. So if they don't like talking on the phone, they can just DM us.
Yeah.
Easy enough, right? Well, I hope you
Yes.
guys use these resources that were shared here today, whether you're in Atlanta or somewhere else. Please make sure you're getting tested regularly. Yeah, get tested. Know your status.
Yes.
So that you can know what to do with your life and have some control over it. Yeah. Okay, well, that's it for advice. Now, if you guys do have a question about anything that you want our help on for a future episode, email it to us, advice@cocktailspod.com, and make sure you put advice in the subject line. All right, and now it's time to move on to the cocktails. So, I'm not sure if you have any stories, but I know that you said that you've been working in the industry for like 30-something years, and you used to do a lot of street outreach. Do you happen to have any stories that you can share?
Yeah. With regards to, so one of my favorite things to do was to do street outreach. And in doing street outreach, I outreach to folks that nobody wanted to talk to. And again, no judgment. And so I was the lady that taught the street workers, the prostitutes, how to cheek a condom.
When you said that earlier, I was like, what? I've never even heard of that.
So
Cheeking a condom.
So when you cheek a condom, if you are exchanging sex for goods, and this was more so for men, for women, well, it did matter. How you take a condom and put it right here.
Like literally in your cheek.
In your cheek, and you're cheeking it, and you can have a conversation. This is when HIV was very high. And so we weren't sure what was going on. So we needed to be able to have good barriers because people still needed to exchange sex for goods. When you take the condom this way, and then you...
Oh, and they don't even know.
And so when they're doing fellatio, he didn't know, because normally when a man is getting, that done, he fall back. And that was the conversation that we had to keep it 5,000, and he fall back, and then you put it on, and then when he comes, the condom just comes off. Like, she'll do whatever she needed to do, and the condom will come off. So we did cheeking. We met, when I tell you that we met people wherever they were, we went into the shooting galleries. And we would do the little bleach kits. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No.
So we'd have these little plastic bags like this big. And we would have a little bottle of bleach, a cotton ball, and an alcohol swab. And before they would shoot up, because a lot of people were sharing needles. And that was one of the highest ways of getting HIV. And they would clean, and a little cap. So they put the alcohol in the cap, and they would clean their needles with the bleach and with the water, and then they would do their little alcohol swab, and that reduced their risk of contracting HIV. So those were some of the hardcore things that we did. We also had a speakers bureau, and with the speakers bureau, we would have people, young people, middle-aged people that were living with HIV, and they would tell their story. We would go into the schools and tell the story about what it meant to live with HIV. And those stories were profound. I grew up in Massachusetts, and there was one high school that had a high incident rate of heroin in the high school. And so the numbers for HIV was high. And so we had young people that were tested positive and turned their whole life around. And they became speakers. and ambassadors in living and thriving with HIV.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I'll close with this.
Okay.
Because I got some maturity on me, right? And I was living in New York in the 80s. Y'all know Elin Harris, the author?
Yes, my mama loves that author.
Listen.
It is okay, girl. Be yourself.
We're just being serious because we cut up sometimes. And this is important.
Yeah, I'm being quiet because I
This
really
is
don't want to cut up. We be cutting up. This is serious.
So I was living in New York, y'all, and I worked in Midtown and I worked Wall Street. And I started reading Elin Harris, and I'm going to just keep it 5,000. You get some pussy. You get some pussy. You get some pussy. I was free. And I was just a hoe. I wasn't a hoe. I was sex positive back in the day.
That's a safe space.
Yeah, sex positive. And when I started reading Elin Harris, I locked it up because it was enough for me to storytelling for me to change my behavior.
Reading those books.
Yeah, reading those books. And then I was in the hotel industry and people started dropping dead. And I was like, and then reading his books, I was
So
like,
they were dropping dead from AIDS?
from HIV, from AIDS.
And what is Elin Harris talking about?
Elin Harris, they're like very sexual books.
Yeah.
Like Zane novels or okay.
Similar, but Elin Harris was a man that was living with HIV. He was a gay man and he talked about men on the down low.
Oh, and that's why you were like, I'm not.
Very scandalous books.
Yes.
Okay.
Beautiful men in the books. Like they were, I was like, oh, I was probably with him. Like, just,
Looking at the covers.
yeah. Check him out. Great books to read. And it's some of them, I cried in a couple of them because it was sad. But on the real tip, storytelling works. Because for me, like I said, I was living in New York, living my whole best life and trying all the flavors. And once I read his book and then working in the hotel industry, I changed my ways. So,
especially during those times that you just don't know.
yeah, and we didn't. Yeah, we didn't know. We didn't know, and so with us not knowing, with me not knowing, that's what I ended up. I changed my behavior.
You never know how your art is going to help somebody.
We help people every week.
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies, so much for taking the time out of your days to come and help us educate our audience. We appreciate it. If you would like to let everybody know where they can find the Aid Atlanta Instagram, please let them know now.
It's just Instagram, Aid Atlanta. Sorry. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I get it right on the Oh my goodness. Where is it? It is. Yep. It's just Aid Atlanta _ Atlanta, and then that will pop up right there.
Make sure it's Aid, not AIDS.
Yes,
Yes,
Aid
yes.
_ Atlanta, and then Facebook's Aid Atlanta official homepage.
Okay. Well, anything else y'all want to leave the audience with?
I want to say thank you for doing this, having this platform. I wasn't sure what we were going to get into today, and I was a little nervous. I was like,
I was a little trembling a little bit.
and I like speaking. I don't have a problem speaking, but I wasn't sure which, direction.
What the vibe was.
Y'all are amazing.
Thank you.
So thank you
And
for
accessible.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you for including us in doing this education because, again, specifically women in the Atlanta area, we're still getting HIV at disproportionate rates. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. I hope that we were able to give you some information that you can use. Make sure that, again, you check the description box for everything that we may have mentioned in the episode today. And make sure you're also following us on Instagram. We're at CockTales Podcast. I'm at Kiki Said So.
I'm at Coffee Bean D.
And until next week, you guys, goodbye.